Hey, stop doing shit to my car. Who the fuck is that?
Meet Mike Howell. He lives in Liman, West Virginia, the kind of town so small and forgettable that even Google Maps seems reluctant to acknowledge it exists. Mike clerks at a convenience store, spends most of his shifts doodling his original comic book called The Adventures of Apollo Ape and Chip the Brick. And honestly, he seems pretty content with that life. But there's one thing Mike cannot escape, and it's not his job, it's not his comic, it's not even his small town. It's something deep inside his own nervous system. Every single time Mike tries to leave Liman, and he has tried, his body stages a full rebellion. Crushing panic attacks, the kind that drop you to your knees and make the whole world spin. He and his girlfriend Phoebe once tried to take a trip to Hawaii, and the moment they got close to leaving, Mike completely fell apart. That trip never happened. This hits Mike hard, not because he's desperate to travel the world, but because of what it means for Phoebe. She's everything to him. Smart, patient, and somehow still choosing to be there despite all of Mike's limitations. He's been carrying around a ring and a question he hasn't been able to ask yet, and the reason isn't fear of commitment. It's the creeping feeling that a woman like Phoebe deserves someone who isn't trapped in a two-stoplight town by his own mind. What Mike doesn't know, what nobody has told him, is that his life is not what he thinks it is, not even close. Deep inside the CIA, something is being set into motion that will tear Mike's world apart. A senior intelligence officer named Lassiter receives a phone call that clearly rattles her. A classified program she's deeply familiar with, codenamed Tough Guy, has just been reactivated, and the first name on its target list, Mike Howell. Here's what you need to understand about Lassiter. Mike isn't just some random guy to her. He is her asset. Years ago, she ran a program called Wiseman, and Mike was its crown jewel. She has a personal stake in keeping him alive. But the voice on the other end of the phone isn't asking for her blessing. It's issuing a warning. Stay out of the way. Lassiter doesn't take warnings well. The man behind Tough Guy is a rival CIA agent named Yates. Smug, ambitious, and dangerously bureaucratic in the worst possible way. When Lassiter gets in his face and demands to know what he's doing, Yates doesn't even bother hiding his agenda. He calls Mike a security breach. What he really means is that eliminating Mike will destroy everything Lassiter built with Wiseman, and hand him a promotion in the process. Mike is just a pawn in a power play between two intelligence officers who treat human lives like chess pieces. But Lassiter refuses to be checkmated. She decides to take a drive to Liman. Back in Liman, Mike's morning is anything but dramatic. He makes a quick detour before his shift to meet his drug dealer Rose. But before you judge that sentence, there's a twist. He's not buying anything illegal. Well, he is, technically, but that's not the point. He's buying fireworks. Because tonight, Mike Howell is going to ask Phoebe to marry him, and he wants it to go off with a bang, literally. He tucks the fireworks away, heads into work, and settles in for another ordinary shift at the register. His comic book sits on the counter. The fluorescent lights hum, nothing unusual. Then a woman walks in. She approaches the counter, makes brief eye contact with Mike, and then starts speaking in a specific, deliberate pattern. A sequence of phrases that mean absolutely nothing to Mike on the surface. He stares at her like she might be off her medication. She finishes, scans his blank expression, and walks back out looking defeated. What Mike doesn't realize is that the woman was Lassiter, and those meaningless phrases, they were a coded activation sequence. The verbal trigger designed to wake up everything the CIA ever buried inside him. It looked like it didn't work. It did. The gears have already started turning when Mike heads outside later that night and notices two men lurking near his car. Something about them feels wrong, but he can't name why. Then one of them lunges. What happens next shocks Mike more than anyone. Without thinking, without hesitation, his body takes over. Every move is clean, efficient, precise. He doesn't fight like a guy who's scared. He fights like someone who was built for this. When the dust settles, both men are down. One of them met his end because of a spoon, a literal spoon from the store. Mike stands there shaking, staring at his own hands like they belong to a stranger. He calls Phoebe, voice cracking, barely making sense. He tells her what happened, that he just killed 2 men, that he doesn't understand how, that something is very, very wrong with him.
Did this happen? How the fuck did this happen? You just killed 2 guys?
Like, stab me, Phoebe.
Why are people trying to stab you?
I don't know. Shh.
By the time the local sheriff pulls up to the parking lot, Mike is still frozen in place, completely unable to process what he just did. Over at CIA operations, Yates gets the report and cannot believe what he's hearing. 2 trained agents neutralized by a convenience store clerk. His response is not confusion, it's rage. He immediately suspects Lassiter activated Mike, and he's right. He orders his commander on the ground, a man named Otis, to lock the entire town of Liman down. Every road, every exit, nobody leaves. And Lassiter, still somewhere in town, needs to be found. Then he dispatches 2 of his best, a pair of operatives named Crane and Lauger, cold, efficient, and deeply unsettling to be around. They're already on their way to the police station. Inside that station, Mike is trying desperately to explain a story that makes 0 sense to anyone, including himself. Phoebe is right there with him, but she seems strangely less focused on Mike's panic, and more focused on the exact words the woman at the store said to him. When Mike somehow recites Lassiter's activation phrase word for word, perfectly, without effort, something flickers in Phoebe's expression. She knows what that means. Before anyone can dig deeper, the station's power cuts out. The backup generators kick on, and then the shooting starts. Crane and Lauger breach the building from different angles, systematically taking out everyone inside. Upstairs, Crane moves through the station like a hurricane. Downstairs, Lauger heads straight for the holding area. He kicks open the door, sees Mike, and raises his weapon. And then Mike, barely coping, visibly terrified Mike, does it again. The fight is brutal, instinctive, and ends with Lauger getting locked inside the cell, with several teeth missing. Phoebe and Mike sprint for the exit just as Crane spots them from above. She opens fire. Sheriff Watts, despite being gravely wounded, manages to handcuff Crane's leg to a chair before she can give chase. She's slowed down, but she still pulls a grenade. Mike catches it and throws it right back. The station erupts. When the smoke clears, Crane has survived the blast, barely. She pulls herself up from the wreckage, which is exactly when Mike steps out of the smoke and walks calmly toward her. What follows is not something Mike seems proud of, but it ends the threat. Lassiter is stuck at a roadblock on the edge of town, staring at a wall of agents in hazmat suits blocking every route out. She calls Yates. He gives her a simple choice: stand down or be destroyed. She doesn't give him an answer. She's already plotting her next move. She contacts Petey, a trusted friend inside the agency, and begs him for information. She needs to know where Yates is pulling his operatives from, because a destroyed police station is not the work of professionals. Professionals are quiet. This is the work of something else. Meanwhile, Mike and Phoebe get to Rose's place, and this is where cracks begin to appear in everything Mike thought he knew. Fragments of memory start surfacing, vague and disjointed at first. Combat drills, training sequences, briefings he can't fully picture but somehow still remembers. He mentions it to Phoebe almost offhandedly. She doesn't engage with it the way someone who had no idea what he was talking about would. She changes the subject. Mike notices. He just doesn't confront it yet. By the time they reach Rose's door, Mike has mentally cataloged an inexplicable amount of information about firearms, hand-to-hand combat techniques, and, for reasons he cannot begin to explain, at least 50 varieties of military tanks. He's basically a walking weapons encyclopedia who spent the last several years thinking he was just a lazy stoner. Yates arrives in Liman personally. A full FEMA setup has been erected around the town. Tents, hazmat suits, the entire theatrical production of a government-managed outbreak. It annoys him because he ordered discretion, and instead he got a spectacle. He assembles every remaining tough guy operative and makes clear he wants this wrapped up immediately. Back at Rose's place, the television delivers a gut punch. A news broadcast blames the entire situation on Lassiter and a viral outbreak linked to contact with test animals. Lassiter's face is on the screen, so is Mike's. Rose, who has been suspicious since they knocked on his door, is now pointing a gun at them. Mike disarms him in about half a second. Then he hands the gun back. "I'm not a threat," he tells him. Rose is not fully convinced, but he locks Mike and Phoebe in the basement rather than shoot them, which at this point counts as a win. While they wait, Phoebe examines Mike as if checking for symptoms. He walks to a mirror and stares at his own reflection for a long moment. "I feel amazing," he says. He sounds genuinely surprised by this. Lassiter gets her intelligence from Petey, and the file he sends her stops her cold. The tough guy assets aren't trained soldiers. They aren't career operatives. They are patients pulled from psychiatric institutions, violent criminals who were wiped and rewired using CIA conditioning into killing machines. That's what Yates has been unleashing on this small town. It's also the last communication she gets from Petey. Yates found out about the drop. Petey warns Lassiter off and goes silent. She's completely on her own now. Upstairs, the gas hits before anyone hears it coming. It's a specialized compound designed to suppress a person's ability to cause harm. Rose, his housemates Big Harold and Quentin, all of them go down. One assassin comes through the basement door and meets Mike, who, somehow, even partially affected by the gas, takes him out. Phoebe emerges through the ceiling, eliminates the one waiting outside, and they both run. But then Mike drops. The gas floods his system completely, and here's where the story shifts in a way nobody expected. As Mike loses consciousness, the chemical compound interacts with his remaining programming and starts dissolving the last of the mental barriers that have been keeping his true identity locked away. When he opens his eyes again, he is not the same Mike who walked in. He knows everything now. He turns and looks at Phoebe and asks her how she knew about the gas.
I knew about that gas.
She can't find an answer, not one that fits the lie she's been living. So she tells him the truth. Phoebe has been his CIA handler for 5 years. She was assigned to keep an eye on him after the Wiseman program was shut down. She was supposed to watch him, report back, and eventually return to the agency when things were stable. Instead, she stayed. She fell in love with him. She gave up her entire career without being asked, and built a life in this small town with him because she chose to. She is still his girlfriend. That part was never fake. Mike can't hear it. Not right now. He can't separate 5 years of genuine feeling from 5 years of systematic deception, and every answer she gives him just opens another question he can't answer. He gets in the car. She follows, pleading. He tells her to leave him alone, and then a vehicle slams into the back of their car at full speed. The car rolls off a bridge and lands upside down in the water below. Lauger, who escaped the police station earlier, drags Phoebe out through the shattered window. She's alive because his orders say to bring her in breathing. He soaks Mike's overturned car in accelerant and lights it. Lassiter arrives just in time. She pulls Mike out before the car becomes a fireball. Phoebe is brought before Yates. He's calm, almost amused. He dismantles her in a few sentences, pointing out that she threw away her career, betrayed her assignment, and chose a man the agency now considers a dead asset. Mike's elimination, combined with this entire operation, is going to be his ticket to a serious promotion. He has already won. He just wants her to know it. Meanwhile, Lassiter sits with Mike in a safe location and finally tells him the whole story. When he was 18, Mike was arrested on drug charges. Lassiter was recruiting for Wiseman at the time, and Mike, desperate to get out of the legal situation he was in, volunteered to be a test subject. He was the only candidate the program ever successfully produced, but the conditioning broke him mentally, caused severe psychological fractures, and Lassiter made the call to shut it down. She wiped his memory, gave him a new identity, and planted him in Liman, a life so unthreatening that he'd never draw attention. His panic attacks? Programming. Designed to keep him inside a perimeter where he could be monitored. His entire self-image as a harmless, limited, stuck person? Manufactured. He was never the tree, as Phoebe once told him. He was always the car. He just didn't know it. A passerby spots them and radios it in. Yates gets the coordinates and immediately orders a drone strike. He doesn't hesitate about the civilians nearby. He doesn't hesitate about anything.
I need a drone in the sky in less than an hour. All anyone is entering.
So you're gonna blow up a civilian town to catch one guy?
Is it?
Then Mike's phone rings. He doesn't recognize the number. He answers anyway, and the voice on the other end is calm, measured, and deeply pleased with itself. Yates. He's not calling to negotiate. He's calling to close a door. He tells Mike, with the unhurried confidence of a man who believes he has already won, that Phoebe is with him, that it's over, that the smart thing, the only thing, would be to stop moving and accept what's coming. Then he makes a mistake. He lets Phoebe talk. Her voice is steady, steadier than Mike expects. She doesn't beg him to come. She doesn't tell him to run. What she says instead is something she has never said before. Something that has been sitting unspoken underneath 5 years of a life they built together. She tells him that she has been the tree, not him, her. She was the one planted in Liman, the one who stayed in one place, the one whose roots were agency orders and classified assignments. He was always the one supposed to be moving. He was always the car. She tells him he is free, and she means it. Whatever happens next, he doesn't owe her anything. He can walk away and it would make sense. It would even be the right call. Mike stands there in the dark with the phone pressed to his ear. Then he thinks about the fireworks. He lights them all at once. The sky over Liman turns into a full-blown 4th of July show as Mike drives straight toward the camp. Yates, watching from inside a convenience store with his last 17 operatives, grabs Phoebe and retreats inside, which is when Mike crashes the vehicle directly through the store's front window. He takes the intercom, announces himself calmly, tells Phoebe he's coming. Then things get biblical. 17 trained, or rather conditioned assets, all hunting one man through a convenience store. Mike turns the entire building into a weapon. Shelves, furniture, products off the shelf. He takes a knife in the side and keeps moving. A bullet grazes his skull and he moves faster. Every new injury seems to unlock something deeper rather than slow him down. In the back room, Phoebe gets her hands free. She and Yates go at it. She's not going down without a fight, and she's buying every second she can. Eventually, it comes down to Lassiter. The two of them face off in the wreckage of the store. They batter each other into the floor. Back up, do it again. And then something happens that Mike didn't expect. Lassiter tells him they're the same. He's not wrong. Lassiter was made the same way Mike was. A person whose mind was stripped down and rebuilt by people who saw him as a tool. He's not a monster, he's a victim. Outside, Lassiter gets a rope around Yates. Inside the drone control center, an agent known only as PD sits in front of a screen that shows a thermal map of Liman. The target is clearly marked. The strike window is open. All he has to do is enter a 12-digit authorization code that he has memorized since the day he was assigned this post. He has not entered it. His hands are on the keyboard. The cursor blinks. Yates's voice crackles through the comms telling him to engage. PD looks at the screen, at the heat signatures clustered in and around a convenience store in a small American town, and he does the math that Yates stopped doing a long time ago. There are civilians in that radius. There are people in those buildings who do not work for the CIA, who did not volunteer for any program, who woke up this morning thinking today was an ordinary Tuesday. He thinks about the police station. He saw what was left of it. He thinks about the word discretion and how completely it stopped meaning anything the moment Yates landed in Liman. The strike window passes. PD closes the authorization screen. Then he opens a different one, an internal channel that goes directly to Yates's superior, a man named Kruger, and PD starts typing the kind of message that ends careers and saves lives, sometimes simultaneously. He doesn't know which one this will be for him. He types it anyway. Kruger, Yates's superior, the man PD contacted when he finally couldn't stomach the drone strike, walks in and takes stock of the wreckage. Yates makes one last argument. If the operation had worked, Kruger would be thanking him for cleaning up a liability. The thing is, it didn't work. Kruger puts 2 rounds into Yates's chest. He turns to Lassiter. She waits. Kruger tells her that he was her anonymous warning. He alerted her as a courtesy, not as permission to activate a dangerous asset, start a war in a civilian town, and rack up this kind of collateral damage. Now she has to make it worth it. Turn Mike into something valuable, or face the same fate as Yates. Lassiter doesn't flinch. She reminds Kruger that one of her Wiseman assets just single-handedly neutralized 17 tough guy operatives. Not 1. 17. That hasn't happened in 60 years of covert programs. If that's not a win, she doesn't know what is. Outside the store, Mike and Phoebe find each other in the wreckage. He's covered in blood and holding himself together through sheer willpower. She reaches him, and for just a moment, the world goes quiet. They walk out together into the night, right into a wall of flashing lights, SWAT teams, and more weapons than Mike has ever seen pointed at him. He surveys the scene. He thinks about the ring he's been carrying, about the fireworks he bought, about the question he never got to ask. He gets down on one knee. In front of every cop in Liman County, surrounded by spotlights and screaming officers, Mike Howell asks Phoebe to marry him. They both hit the ground before she can answer. The dust settles eventually. PD is arrested. Yates is gone. Kruger has quietly buried the entire operation under 14 layers of classification. Lassiter survives to fight another day. And Mike? Mike wakes up in a CIA holding cell. Bright, clean, institutional. An agent walks in with a folder, sits across from him, and looks up. He doesn't say Mike. He doesn't say Mr. Howell. He says, Agent Howell. The guy who drew comic books. The guy who couldn't leave town. The guy who killed 2 assassins with a spoon on a Tuesday night. He always was exactly what he thought he wasn't. So what do you think about this movie? Let me know in the comments. And if you enjoyed this recap, don't forget to like and subscribe for more amazing movie stories. See you in the next one.